The man was walking down the street when he suddenly felt a sharp sting in his hip. He immediately turned around and noticed a syringe lying on the ground not far away. As someone who had worked undercover for many years, he didn't shout for help. Instead, he quickly got into his car and used the last of his strength to press the door lock. Moments later, he lost consciousness. When the man woke up again, he found himself handcuffed to a table. Across from him sat two men wearing police uniforms. One of them calmly mentioned the location of his hometown. The man kept a straight face, but inside he was shocked. If they even knew where he came from, did that mean his identity had already been exposed? The two men continued listing pieces of information about him. After a long silence, the man finally spoke only 2 sentences. "I've never committed any crime. You've got the wrong person." Meanwhile, Lisa tried calling him, but no one answered. She knew that as a ride-hailing driver, he would never be too busy to answer a call. By lunchtime, he still hadn't returned her call. Although they were officially divorced, they were still partners in their undercover work. He would never suddenly disappear without telling her. Feeling uneasy, Lisa made a complaint call to the ride service company, but she was told that he hadn't taken any rides that day. Her expression immediately turned serious. Now she was certain something had happened to him. However, her first thought wasn't that his identity had been exposed, because if he had been captured, she wouldn't be safe either. Instead, she believed that someone from their own side might be testing him. Back in the room, the two men seemed tired of the stuffy heat and stepped outside for a moment. That's when the man began noticing something strange about the interrogation room. First, the room was hot and humid, yet there was no air conditioner. Second, the walls had no padding that is normally installed to protect detainees. Third, there were no official regulations posted on the walls. At that moment, the man suddenly said he wanted some water. The two men immediately stood up, uncuffed him from the table, and led him to another room. The moment he glanced inside, he instinctively stepped backward in fear. But he was still secured to a bed. A towel was placed over his face, and one of the men began pouring water over it from a bucket. The overwhelming sensation of not being able to breathe created an intense stress response. A person's heart rate could spike, muscles might tense uncontrollably, and coughing could become nonstop. In such a moment, rational thinking often breaks down. The only instinct left is to stop the discomfort and breathe again. After one round of this method, the two men prepared to switch to another approach. But something unexpected happened. Instead of panicking, the man suddenly became calm because he realized something important. These two men were not real police officers. They were from his own organization. Once he understood that, the situation became clear. They were testing him to see if he had betrayed them. But even after figuring it out, his problem was far from solved. Even if he exposed their identities right now, they would never admit it. And to prove they had nothing to do with him, they might treat him even more harshly. Suddenly, the man said he was ready to confess everything. But first, he demanded to see his superior, because the only way his information could have been revealed so thoroughly was if his superior had already been captured. The man suddenly shouted loudly, demanding that his superior come out.